I divorced my wife of 7 years because of a scented candle. Our playful son lit the candle, and my wife accidentally discovered that the man she'd had a crush on for years actually liked her too. Obsessed with pursuing this love, she insisted on divorcing me, even when our seriously ill son cried out for his mother. She didn't spare him a glance. She chose to become another man's mistress for so-called love. Later, when she was kicked out and came begging me to take her back, sorry, but I'm not playing that game. When the candle slowly burned down, revealing the hidden words, "I like you," inscribed within, Shun Yinshi, who had been scolding her mischievous son for lighting the scented candle, suddenly burst into loud sobs upon seeing them. She stared blankly at those 4 words, as if struck dumb, murmuring them over and over. He likes me. He actually likes me. How could this be? I soon learned the truth. This scented candle had been a graduation gift from a man Shun Yinshi had secretly loved for years, someone she'd never seen again after their parting. This gift was carefully preserved by her, along with the affection from those years. But that was all there was to it. Shun Yinshi later met me through a blind date and got married, having long since moved on from that man. After all, it was just a years-long, unrequited love that never came to fruition. Yet who could have imagined that the man had actually liked her too? Only his confession was far too obscure, and Shun Yinshi treasured that gift too much, so she never discovered it. My heart ached unbearably. What man wouldn't feel uncomfortable watching his wife cry for another man? But that was all in the past. I tried my best not to dwell on it, not to let these bygone events affect our relationship. Yet I never expected Shun Yinshi to suddenly scream, "Divorce! I want a divorce from you." What did you say? I stared at Shun Yinshi as if she were insane. What was she saying? We've been married for 7 years, and our son is already 6. The past should have been long buried. How could she possibly want to divorce me over a candle now? I thought Shun Yinshi was just overwhelmed by emotions and spoke impulsively, but she wiped away her tears with a resolute expression. "Chinyu, divorce. I want a divorce." Hearing her demand for divorce a second time, I frowned, my patience wearing thin. What are you making such a fuss about? Is this really worth divorcing over? Look at our child. Can't you at least act like a mother? But these words completely enraged Shun Yinshi. She swept everything off the table with a furious wave of her hand. It's all because of this damned responsibility. This damned family. This damned child. That's why I've ended up like this. Hysterical and broken. She screamed, "If only I hadn't married you. If only I hadn't given birth to him, how much better everything would be. Do you have any idea how much I despise you? How much I loathe him?" Shun Yinshi's words struck me like a bucket of cold water, jolting me awake. As I looked at this woman who had shared my bed for 7 years, she seemed like a complete stranger, someone I'd never truly known. She could loathe me, loathe our marriage, loathe our family, but how could she loathe our own child? That was her own flesh and blood. Our son was terrified, staring blankly at his mother, unable to comprehend what was happening. Faced with Shun Yinshi's fury, he finally broke down in tears. "Mommy, don't be angry. I was wrong. I won't be naughty anymore." Seeing him like this broke my heart. He was only 6. What could he possibly understand? Yet Shun Yinshi showed not an ounce of compassion. She spoke with unwavering determination once more. "I want a divorce." Only then did I realize Shun Yinshi was serious. She truly wanted a divorce. All because of those 4 words she'd seen. But after all these years, what could she possibly achieve by divorcing? Did she still harbor hopes of rekindling that old flame? It wasn't just me who couldn't comprehend Shun Yinshi's actions. Even her parents were utterly baffled when Shun Yinshi insisted on getting a divorce. Her parents couldn't understand why. After all, she had never mentioned that man in front of them. But Shun Yinshi claimed he was someone she had loved since her teens, for many years, and only now did she realize their feelings were mutual. How could she let this pass? Missing such a chance would be too regrettable. Shun Yinshi turned the household upside down with her demands. She refused to listen to reason, adamant about divorcing. I finally realized the gravity of the situation. She was serious, and it seemed there was no way left for me to hold her back. I avoided my in-laws and son, preparing to have a serious talk with Shun Yinshi. "Yinshi, do you really want to divorce me?" My heart ached unbearably as I said these words. Shun Yinshi and I had met through a blind date, but no one knew I'd already fallen for her before we were even introduced. It happened on the street. I saw her cheerfully buying sausages to feed stray cats. That girl's radiant smile etched itself permanently into my heart. Later, I saw her on a blind date with someone else at a coffee shop. After that, I managed to find a mutual acquaintance to introduce us, which finally gave me the chance to meet her properly. Shun Yinshi might have thought I was no different from the other men she met during her blind dates at that time, but I knew it was something I'd schemed for with all my might. I liked her, and when I found out she was willing to give us a try, I was overjoyed. I had never been in a relationship before, nor did I have any experience with dating. I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to make her happy. I could only face her with the most sincere attitude, hoping for her happiness. Later, I gained the support of her family, and we married smoothly that year. We were only 24. Soon after marriage, we had a child. Heartbroken by the difficulties of her childbirth, I willingly took on the responsibility of caring for our child, allowing her to devote herself fully to her career. Over these years of marriage, even though we didn't live a particularly wealthy life, the three of us were harmonious, and our child grew up healthy. That alone was already the best outcome. Even though Sun Yinshi remained indifferent toward me and showed little enthusiasm for our child, I simply assumed it might be her nature. I had the most beautiful fantasies about the future, believing everything would only get better. But the candle accidentally lit by our son destroyed it all. After days of quarreling and emotional outbursts, Sun Yinshi finally calmed down. She looked at me seriously. You know, I never loved you. Those calm words shattered my heart into pieces. I didn't know. How could I have known? I thought some people were just born unable to express love, that some loved in silence. How could I have known that Sun Yinshi never loved me? If she didn't love me, why did she marry me? Why did we have a child together? Why did we spend these 7 years in marriage? Even if she didn't love me at first, after 7 years together, couldn't there have been even a little affection? Are people not made of flesh and blood? How could she be so heartless? Am I really that terrible? So unworthy of her love? But Sun Yinshi didn't care about my feelings. She just continued calmly. After graduation, I never saw him again, and I had no news of him at all. I returned to my hometown to work and live. I thought I would forget him, so I agreed to my family's request to go on blind dates. I married you only because you met my family's expectations. I thought that over time, I would grow to love you. After all, many couples in this world live like that. But when I saw you, I realized I couldn't muster even the slightest bit of affection. In fact, all I felt was utter disgust. I despise you, and that extends to our child too. Even though I gave birth to him, I can't bring myself to love him. Her calm words sent shockwaves through my heart. She didn't love me, she loathed me, and that hatred extended to our own child, her own flesh and blood. After carrying him for 10 months and going through childbirth, how could a mother not love her own child? We watched him grow from a tiny infant to who he is now. Heard him call us mom and dad. How could there be no love at all? But Sun Yinshi's demeanor showed no signs of deception. From beginning to end, there's only ever been that one person in my heart. All my love belongs to him alone. I won't share it with anyone else. If he didn't love me, that would be one thing. I love him, and I couldn't bear to force him. I'd simply accept that we weren't meant to be. But he does love me, he loves me. How could you expect me to walk away from that? Tears streamed down Sun Yinshi's face as she poured out her love for another man. Her words so sincere, I couldn't refute them. So she was capable of love, after all, capable of the most ardent passion. It's just that she didn't love me, simply didn't love me. 3. I closed my eyes and spoke with difficulty. But what good will it do even if you go find him now? So many years have passed. If I don't go, I'll never be able to forgive myself. If we can't get divorced, if I have to keep living with you, I'd rather die. Sun Yinshi's resolute words left me with no rebuttal. She'd rather die than stay with me. What else could I do? Force her to death through the pain. I agreed. Fine, I'll let you go. Hearing my response, Sun Yinshi was visibly delighted. I'll give you the RV, the children, everything. I'll leave with nothing. I remained silent. Sun Yinshi's joy cut deep into me. So this was how unhappy she had been with me. Divorcing me could bring her such happiness. When they learned of my agreement, my in-laws were furious. But they knew their daughter well. She wouldn't turn back until she hit the wall. Once her mind was made up, no words from others would change it. Yet what pained them more was my son, just a 6-year-old child, innocent and unaware, understanding nothing of what was happening. He would never know that his parents were getting divorced, nor would he ever know that his mother had never loved him. And he would never know that part of the reason for their divorce was because of him. If only our son hadn't lit that candle, I would have rather lived in ignorance for the rest of my life than face the cruel truth laid bare before me. It made me realize that I was nothing but a fool, and that reality was far from beautiful. On the very day we signed the divorce papers, Sun Yinshi moved out, so resolute, so eager. At first, my son didn't notice anything. But after 3 days without seeing his mother, he missed her terribly. He kept crying and fussing, demanding to see his mom. Yet his mother wouldn't return to look at him even once. A whole week passed without Sun Yinshi showing up, and our son fell ill. When I took him to the hospital, my heart ached until it nearly went numb. All this time, our son had been crying incessantly until his voice grew hoarse. Looking at his swollen red eyes and the endless stream of tears, I felt my heart being violently torn apart. This was my child, and Sun Yinshi's child too. Surely she wouldn't abandon him. Thinking this, I dialed Sun Yinshi's number, but when the call connected and she heard my purpose, she refused. I'm with him now. The identity of him went without saying. My heart felt as if it were being sliced by knives, and I swallowed my bloodied tears. None of that mattered now. What was most important was our son. Gritting my teeth, I explained, I'm not asking you to leave him. I just want you to see our son. He needs his mother right now. Please, just talk to him. I'm practically begging Sun Yinshi. I pleaded, just look at our son. He's sick right now, and he misses you so much. He'll get used to life without a mother. Sun Yinshi hung up decisively after saying this. I stared at the ended call screen for a long time. That was the child she gave birth to. Yet she didn't love him at all. Even when our child was seriously ill, even when he fell sick because of her, she still refused to see him. Years of love vanished in an instant, and that woman suddenly became detestable in my heart. How could there be such a heartless woman? She could stop loving me, but how could she treat our son so cruelly? What did such a young child do wrong? He was still there, crying hoarsely for his mother, but she would never return. At that moment, I only wished Shun Yinshi would never appear before me again, this heartless woman. I hope to never see her for the rest of my life. For the child had been ill for a long time. When children fall sick, it's always particularly trying, and in some ways, my son's illness could be considered a sickness of the heart. The doctors and nurses couldn't bear to see him like this and asked me where his mother was. Could she come back to see him? Perhaps the sight of his mother would cure him, but his mother would never return. I hardened my heart and told my son that his mother wouldn't come back. He had to be strong. He didn't understand, nor did he want to. All he wanted was his mother. But day after day, week after week, month after month, as the boy didn't see his mother, he eventually grew stronger. He stopped crying for her, as if he had forgotten her. Yet the change was undeniably real. The boy became increasingly quiet. Sometimes when he heard other children calling for their mothers, he would lower his head in silence, a sight that was particularly heartbreaking. Occasionally he would ask me, "Daddy, is it because I wasn't good that Mommy didn't want me?" The once mischievous, playful child suddenly became extraordinarily well-behaved, as if he had grown up overnight. Shedding his childish exterior, he transformed into a little adult, trying desperately to be good, as if that might bring his mother back. My heart ached even more seeing him like this. I told him countless times, "Son, you did nothing wrong. This has nothing to do with you. Mommy didn't leave because you were naughty." Yet these words were of no use to my son. The child stubbornly believed it was his misbehavior that made Mommy leave. Perhaps the way Shun Yinshi and I had argued before had caused significant harm to our son's psyche, leading him to think this way, because Shun Yinshi had once said in front of our son that she hated him. A 6-year-old can actually understand many things. Every time I see my son like this, my hatred for Shun Yinshi grows stronger. This woman is too cruel. How could she treat her own flesh and blood this way? There were so many gentler ways to handle this, so many alternatives. Yet she insisted on this path. In her eyes, only her so-called love mattered. Nothing else held any significance to her. Half a year passed in the blink of an eye, and before I knew it, it was my son's birthday. From a moment he woke up that morning, he was unusually excited. His gaze kept drifting toward the door, as if willing it to open and reveal the person he longed to see. Who else could it be? His mother, of course. By noon, my son finally couldn't hold back and asked me, "Dad, will Mom come back to celebrate my birthday with me?" Hearing this, my heart ached again. Overwhelmed with bitterness, I forced a smile as I looked at him. "Son, how about I take you to the amusement park later with Mom?" Facing my son's hopeful gaze, I found myself utterly unable to answer that question. Only Daddy. No Mommy. She wouldn't be coming back. My son was becoming harder to fool. He stubbornly asked me, "Daddy, will Mommy come celebrate my birthday?" In the end, I couldn't bring myself to lie to my son. Gritting my teeth, I spoke. "She won't come." My son fell silent for a moment, then suddenly began to cry. "I know Mommy doesn't want me anymore, because I'm not good. Because I'm a bad child, that's why Mommy left me." No, it's not like that. You're very good. You're a good child. It's your mother's fault for not wanting you. Not yours. But my words clearly didn't get through to my son. After my son was born, Shun Yinshi hardly took care of him. I thought she was just career-driven. But now I realize she never truly loved our son. Yet my son loved his mother deeply. He used to always cling to Shun Yinshi, even when she treated him poorly. And he never showed any resentment. A child's love is always pure and fervent. He loved showing his mother his drawings, sharing his toys with her, and telling her about the people he met and things that happened during his day. Even though Shun Yinshi showed no interest, I simply couldn't bear to face my son's disappointed gaze any longer. So I dialed Shun Yinshi's number once more. But this time the call went unanswered for what felt like an eternity. Refusing to give up, Isin Atheist. "It's our son's birthday today. Will you at least call him?" After a moment's thought, I added another message. "Please just call him. Even a quick happy birthday would mean everything. It won't take much of your time." Yet this plea vanished like a stone sinking into the ocean, never receiving any response. My son waited until late into the night, but his mother's birthday wishes never came. The stubborn child refused to sleep, only looking at me when he finally realized his mother wouldn't call or come back to see him. "Daddy, I don't want Mommy anymore." 5. Even a child understands this truth. If you can't wait for something, then stop wanting it. I reached out to hold my son, my heart filled with sorrow. "All right, we won't want her anymore. You don't want her anymore. And neither does Dad. We don't want her anymore. From now on, it's just the two of us, father and son. Dad won't abandon you. Dad will always love you. Dad will never be like Mom." After that, my son seemed to completely forget he ever had a mother. He never mentioned her again, but I still heard about Shun Yinshi's recent life through friends. Turns out, right after divorcing me. She immediately went to find the man she had loved back then, only to discover he was already married. Of course, they were in their prime back then, but 2 years after graduation, Shen Yinchi married me, and we were together for 7 years. Now, a full 9 years had passed since they last saw each other. Both of them were already in their early 30s. How could they still be single? Even Shen Yinchi had been married to me for 7 years and had a 6-year-old child. Hadn't she? Shen Yinchi divorced me for love, regained her freedom, and went to find that man. But that man neither chose to divorce nor rejected Shen Yinchi. The two of them actually rekindled their past romance as boyfriend and girlfriend, though that's just a nice way to put it. In reality, after divorcing me, Shen Yinchi became someone else's mistress. Of course, such matters aren't something one would announce to the world. But how did my friend find out? Seeing my question, he smirked with a knowing look. Shen Yinchi. She was caught by the man's wife and got beaten up on the street, utterly humiliated. Now all our old friends know about it. What a disgrace. So that's how it was. Being the other woman comes with no safety guarantees, getting beaten up and now treated like a rat scurrying across the street. Things had reached this point, and I gradually learned more details. It turned out that the man had married above his station with his current wife. He simply couldn't afford to offend his in-laws. After his affair with Shen Yinchi was exposed, he didn't dare say a single word in defense, didn't even dare let out a peep. He stood by as his wife publicly beat Shen Yinchi in the street, even nearly stripping her naked. Afterwards, he naturally had to break up with Shen Yinchi. It said Shen Yinchi begged and groveled to stay together, but it was utterly futile. Faced with the other wife's aggressive stance, Shen Yinchi had no moral high ground, yet she still overestimated herself by claiming they were true love and had liked each other for many years. But if they liked each other so much, why didn't they end up together? Since they didn't, and the man went on to marry someone else, then she was just the other woman while the man hid behind the scenes, never even meeting Shen Yinchi again. Shen Yinchi was thoroughly humiliated in another city, failing to turn her so-called love into anything real, and eventually slunk back in disgrace. As for me, all this was just an amusing piece of gossip. Whatever happened to Shen Yinchi had nothing to do with me. I never expected that after returning, Shen Yinchi wouldn't go to her parents' house, but would come to me instead. She stood at our doorstep with her suitcase, shivering from the cold after waiting for who knows how long. When she saw me coming back with our son from school, she visibly brightened up, spotting our boy behind me. Shen Yinchi hurried forward. "Sweetheart, Mommy's home. Did you miss me?" But the boy shrank back, clearly unwilling to let her touch him. Shen Yinchi seemed hurt. "Sweetheart, what's wrong? Don't you miss Mommy?" Our son turned his head away from her. I sighed, opened the door to let him inside, then stepped out to face Shen Yinchi. "What are you doing here?" "I'm back." Just a few simple words, as if trying to gloss over everything that had happened during this time, as if she had merely been on a business trip, or gone traveling for a few days. And now, it was time to come home. She returned with her suitcase in hand, facing me and our son. She showed not a trace of guilt or discomfort. Her matter-of-fact demeanor made me feel that if I didn't accept her, it would be my fault. I had to remind her again. "We're divorced." Shen Yinchi's face stiffened instantly. "I know. I just came back to see our son. When our son was sick before, he kept calling for his mom. But you didn't come back." Shen Yinchi opened her mouth to say more, but I cut her off again. "On his birthday before. He waited for you so long. He wanted to hear his mom wish him happy birthday. But that never came either." I looked at Shen Yinchi. "Maybe you've forgotten all those things you did before, but I haven't. And I know why you're coming to me now. Because your love died, right? But our marriage has died too." My words may sound cruel, but truth be told, my own heart aches just as much. If possible, I wouldn't have wanted things with Shen Yinchi to come to this point. If possible, I'd rather none of those things had happened. I never wanted to see our family fall apart or witness our son's devastation. But what's done is done, and I must face it. The reality is this woman before me easily abandoned our family and the child she brought into this world. Since she chose to leave, she shouldn't come back. Yet Shen Yinchi reached out and embraced me, her tears falling in heavy drops that quickly soaked through my shirt. I know I was wrong. It's all my fault. I was so foolish. I don't even know how I could do such a thing. I lost my mind for a moment. My judgment was clouded. I made a mistake. Can you forgive me? Hearing these words and seeing her like this, I couldn't bring myself to say anything, because I didn't know if she truly understood her mistake. Perhaps it's just that her love hit a temporary setback. So she thought of me. If that man came back for her, if her love revived from the dead, would she even glance my way again? Probably not. I reached out and pushed Shen Yinchi away. "Go find your love. Love is more important. You've liked him for so many years. How could you let this chance slip? As for me and our child, you don't need to worry. We're doing just fine now. Our son has gotten used to life without a mother. If you came back now, it would only make him uncomfortable." Under Shen Yinchi's stunned gaze, I left her standing alone and entered the room. Our son was waiting right by the doorway, his backpack still strapped to his shoulders as he looked up at me. I crouched down to meet his eyes. "Son, do you want your mom back?" But the boy shook his head. Mom already chose to abandon me. See, even a child understands this logic. Since you've already done it, don't regret it. After all, you've thoroughly broken someone's heart. And how could a few words ever make up for that? It's impossible now. Yet Shun Yinshi seemed to have made up her mind. From that day on, she acted as if nothing had happened, continuing to treat herself as my wife, as the mother of our child, as a member of this household. She barged in without hesitation. If anyone's to blame, it's me for not changing the locks after she left. But to be fair, she has a share in this house too. We bought it together back in the day. I've also heard that after she came back, she went to see her parents, but they were so ashamed of their daughter that they didn't even let her through the door. She had some savings from all these years of work. But when she went chasing after what she called love in that other city, she didn't have a job there and must have spent nearly all her money. Now, with no money, no job, and nowhere to live, she's really struggling. My heart softened for a moment, so I didn't turn her away. Anyway, there's still a guest room at home where she can stay. She would prepare delicious meals for our son in different ways every day. But the boy was stubborn. He adamantly refused to eat even a single bite, insisting only on the food I made. The three of us lived under the same roof. Yet the atmosphere was unbearably awkward. But children will be children. Our son soon softened. At first, he began eating the meals she cooked, and later, he even started calling her Mom again. Eventually, he even allowed Shun Yinshi to tuck him in at night. After all, he had loved his mother so deeply before. How could he simply stop needing her? It didn't matter to me. I never restricted my son's interactions with Shun Yinshi. They were mother and child. That was an unchangeable fact. Now and forever, I can separate from Shun Yinshi. I can sever ties with her, but not with my son. Having gained our son's forgiveness, Shun Yinshi began seeking mine. Every time she put the child to sleep, she tried to enter my room. The first time I was caught off guard when she pushed the door open, I sternly drove her out. And from then on, I made sure to lock my door every night. Some couples divorce, but continue living together for their children's sake. That's how I treat my relationship with Shun Yinshi now. But I will never forgive her. I thought our peaceful days would continue like this, and perhaps our relationship would change again once our son grew a little older. But I never expected that Shun Yinshi's long-lost love would come looking for her on his own, somehow finding his way to our home. The moment I opened the door, I saw a strange man standing at her doorstep. Though I knew of his existence, I'd never actually seen what he looked like. When Shun Yinshi heard the commotion and came out, I watched with calm eyes as she appeared deeply conflicted. Yet in the end, she still chose to leave with him. I don't know what the two said outside the door. But when Shun Yinshi came back in, she was clearly distracted. It didn't take long for me to learn the man's purpose. He had also gotten divorced. It was said that his wife had initiated it. She had endured repeatedly, but ultimately couldn't tolerate her husband's betrayal. So she divorced him, since he was the one who erred first. The divorce was what he deserved. After the divorce, he came looking for Shun Yinshi. His intention was obvious. He simply wanted to rekindle their old flame. Shun Yinshi was clearly torn once again. Perhaps she still had some care for me and our son in her heart, which was why she hesitated. Yet this concern was insignificant. After merely a day of hesitation, she left again, chasing after so-called love. Once more, our son lost his mother, but this time, he remained eerily calm, a calmness that only made it more heartbreaking to witness. With quiet resignation, my son told me, I always knew Mom didn't love me. But hearing these words from a child barely over 6 years old, how can anyone not feel heartbroken? My hatred for Shun Yinshi reached its peak at that moment. You don't have to love, but please don't inflict harm. If you were destined to abandon me, to abandon our son, then why did you come back at all? Why give our son hope only to shatter it later? I changed the locks on our doors, and once finances allow, I'll move us to a different home entirely. I won't give that woman another chance to hurt us. When my in-laws learned what happened, they came personally to apologize. But what good is an apology? The harm done to me and to our son is irreparable. I was foolish. I shouldn't have been soft-hearted. I shouldn't have let her through our door. I shouldn't have given her another chance to abandon us. Yet I never imagined that in less than half a year, Shun Yinshi would appear before me again, this time looking far more wretched. She seemed to have aged at least 10 years. Her hair disheveled, her clothes stained with patches of dirt. She collapsed at my doorstep, bursting into loud sobs the moment she saw me. I looked at her in utter bewilderment. What on earth had happened? From Shun Yinshi's account, I finally understood. She'd been abandoned by love yet again. That man was nothing but a scoundrel. After their divorce, he'd lured her away under the pretense of love, only to subject her to 6 months of abuse. Nothing but endless accusations. He blamed her for ever appearing before him, blamed her for causing his divorce, for losing his in-law support, for ruining his promising career. Shun Yinshi couldn't fathom how the radiant campus heartthrob from her student days had transformed into this detestable version of himself. But had she ever looked at what she herself had become? How did that sunshine-smiling girl who used to feed stray cats with sausages turn into her current self? All Shun Yinshi's words to me were ultimately meant to make me forgive her. She was telling me she now recognized her mistakes and that her life had been miserable since leaving me. She had already paid the price for her actions, and I should take her back, because we've been married for 7 years, and because we had a child together. By all accounts, I shouldn't give up on her, but hearing these words from her, I can only feel like laughing. She truly is a classic example of a refined egoist, always thinking only of herself and never considering others. Has she ever thought about that child she mentioned? Her own flesh and blood, her son whom she abandoned twice. What immense damage has she inflicted on his young heart? Now she's reappeared again. How am I supposed to accept her? How is our son supposed to accept her? Wouldn't she just abandon us once more? I can't bear to face a third abandonment. Leave? I don't want to see you anymore. And neither does our son. None of us, me. Our child, will ever believe a word you say again. Perhaps because my stance was too resolute. Shen Yinshi wiped away her tears. She stopped begging for my forgiveness, abandoned any thought of rekindling our relationship, and didn't even show concern for our son. Instead, she started demanding something else, money. With a vicious expression, Shen Yinshi snarled, "This house is half mine, and so is all the family's assets. I left with nothing during the divorce. But now I regret it. You owe me half of everything. See, this despicable woman, this is her true motive all along. All that talk about not being able to bear leaving our son. All those apologies to me, nothing but lies. In truth, she never loved me. Nor did she ever love our son. All along, she had her own lover, a love she kept buried deep in her heart. She only ever loved that man. But now, her heart has been shattered by that lover. Her love has died, and so she's come back for money. I'm grateful our son was at school today and didn't have to see Shen Yinshi in this state. Otherwise, that little child might have been heartbroken all over again. Any love he once had for Shen Yinshi had long since vanished. As for me now, I won't indulge her anymore. Go ahead and sue me. Hire a lawyer. Take it to court. If the court rules that I should give you money or split the house with you, I won't refuse. But if the court doesn't support your claim, I won't give you a single cent." I looked at her coldly and said, "Shen Yinshi, at this point, I won't show you the slightest bit of mercy. I don't want to see your tears or hear your words anymore. Get out." There was a time when I was soft-hearted toward this woman. I couldn't bear to see her cry whenever she shed tears. I would easily give in. But later, I realized my mistake and paid the price for it. So now, I won't forgive her anymore. No matter what she says or does, I won't care anymore. Soon she won't be able to find me either. Let her performances find another audience. None of it concerns me now. Shen Yinshi clearly didn't expect this attitude from me. But there are many more things she can't imagine. She can't imagine how heartbroken we were after she abandoned me and our son. She can't imagine the pain of having a whole heart shattered to pieces, then slowly piecing it back together bit by bit. She can't imagine that not only have I given up on her completely, but even our son has too. Even her own parents have abandoned her now. She used to take advantage of their love for her, acting recklessly and hurting them however she pleased. Now that they've all abandoned her, this is her retribution, the consequence of prioritizing love above all else. But this isn't our fault. Whoever is to blame should bear the responsibility. That's only fair. After I moved, Shen Yinshi couldn't find me and actually sued me in court. But we're already divorced. She chose to leave with nothing back then, so the court won't support her claims. I heard she later went back to her love, and the two of them ended up tormenting and entangling each other. In the end, that insignificant bit of affection from years ago was completely worn away, and they became each other's greatest enemies in this life. During one of their arguments, they got into a car accident together. They truly disregarded everything for their love, and in the end, they died for it. Perhaps that was their best possible ending. To me, it's all just someone else's affair now, nothing more than a joke to watch. The end.